Hi, I'm Julia Hankins. I'm a children's wellbeing specialist, consultant, and mentor, and I work with other kids yoga teachers and wellbeing professionals to help them feel more confident as they teach their children's yoga sessions or their wellbeing lessons so that they can change more children's lives through teaching children these wellbeing strategies. And today I'm doing a little video to talk about dealing with chatty kids in your kids yoga class. So as wellbeing professionals, we want children to feel safe in our classes, and we want our classes to be a place where they feel they can be themselves, and hopefully our lessons, our clubs, our workshops are somewhere where children can be completely themselves and be accepted as they are. But what happens when the way that one child is impacts negatively on a class or a workshop or a club and makes it difficult for the other children to learn the tools that we're teaching? This is a really common issue, and I hear children's yoga teachers talking about it frequently, and it's something that I've supported other children's yoga teachers with in my mentoring. And so I thought I'd just chat to that a little bit today. So it's really, really difficult, isn't it, to walk that line. It's a really fine line between being friendly, approachable, and an accepting kids yoga teacher, whilst also maintaining those boundaries that enable everybody to learn the things that we want to teach them. And so yeah, we're talking about the chatty kids. Surely we've all experienced them in one way or another, whether it's in your curriculum classes or whether it's a kids yoga club after school or a holiday club or even a family workshop. Chatty kids can cause a huge amount of frustration, and it can be irritating when you're trying to deliver something and there's just, this constant yakking. And we want everyone to have fun and we want them to be themselves, but not when it impacts on what you're trying to teach. And that takes it too far. So today I'm sharing with you a few strategies that have worked for me over the past 8 years of being a kids yoga teacher, and that I've learned over 20 plus years of being an educator in schools. So I hope that you find them useful, and I'd really love to know how you deal with this issue in your classes too, because I'm sharing my experiences, but my experiences aren't the only ones, and I'm sure you've got lots of strategies that you use too. I always love to hear about those and learn more myself. So firstly, I would say it's really important to be positive and firm. So having ground rules and referring back to them is really an important part of your lesson, helping to support those children. So you might find the freebie Get Real with Rules useful here. That's a rules poster and also a little guide about how I use my rules. Even if you've got your own rules, you might find it useful to see what mine are and how I manage them. And for me, the rule that I use most when I'm talking about chatty kids or talking to chatty kids is we respect ourselves and each other. Because if a child is talking over someone else or stopping other children from communicating or stopping other children from learning, and they're not respecting either the other child who is also trying to learn or themselves because they're not able to learn either. So that's the rule that I normally draw back to in my lessons. The second thing that I would say is give lots of opportunity within the lesson for the children to feel involved. Sometimes they can be chatty because they're struggling to listen for a long period of time. And so make sure that there's lots of opportunities for the children to interact, or even opportunity for them to talk. So it could be things like telling their partner their idea, giving them time to collaborate as a group and discuss their ideas, or giving call and response activities. And when you're doing this, just ensure that you give really clear guidelines about when you expect them to stop and how you expect them to stop. So this could be that you're ringing a bell or that you're clapping a rhythm, but the children understand and know that when you do this, that's when they need to stop. And you may need to practice that a few times before you begin. You can turn that into a game too. So make sure that you notice and praise the children who are ready and listening. So I like to give 3 positives before a negative, which means that before I ask someone to stop talking or tell someone off as it is perceived by them. I find 3 children who are ready and listening, and I thank them. And usually after this, I don't need to do anything else because most children have got the message, and there may just be a few children who you need to just give a little stare, friendly stare and a friendly smile, and that might be enough. That might be all that you need. Another thing that is really helpful is to give options and choices to everybody. And so I usually have a few spare mats, and I make sure that I'm really explicit that anybody can move to these spare mats if they feel they need to. And so if I notice that some children are chatting, I will look at them quite pointedly when I'm talking to everybody and say, remember, there are some free mats, and feel free, if you're distracting yourself or you're distracting somebody else or someone else is distracting you, you can move, and that's no problem. There's a spare mat there, there's a spare mat there, and that will help us. And children really love that opportunity to be responsible, and quite often that works as its own. And I always talk as well about how important it is to recognize that in yourself. And so I talk about how I am a chatty person, and I really struggle if I'm sitting next to somebody who is a friend and I'm supposed to listen. I often will distract myself. It's too much of a temptation. And so it's okay to talk to that and to acknowledge it as a human thing, and there doesn't need to be shame around it. If after all of this, reminding the children of the rules, being clear about when they can talk, and giving clear examples of when to stop, giving them lots of opportunity to talk, giving them opportunity to move, praising the children who are listening. If after all of that, there are still some children who are continuing to chat, then I will go and talk to them individually. But I will do this when the other children are occupied. So I'll set a little task, everybody's doing it, and then I will go and talk to the children who are talking. Because there's no need to humiliate anybody by talking to them in front of the whole group. And a simple one-on-one chat while the others are working is usually very effective and gives an opportunity for a two-way dialogue rather than just, calling across the hall. And so this could look like asking the child or the children if they're okay. You might say that you noticed that they were chatting quite a bit and you just wondered if there was something wrong or if there's anything they need help with. And coming from this kind of point of curiosity of like, oh, is everything okay over here? I just noticed you're chatting a bit. Have you got a problem? Is there something you need help with? That then makes them feel more like respected and willing to enter into a dialogue. And often you'll find them go, no, it's okay, everything's okay. And then you can say, well, remember, there are some spare mats. If you're finding it difficult to concentrate, you could move to one of those mats. Do either of you need to move? And if they then say, no, we're okay, then I would say, well, one of my rules is that we respect ourselves and each other. And when you're talking to each other while I'm trying to teach something, that's not really respecting yourself, the people around you, or me. And so if I see you doing that again, I'm going to have to ask you to move, and I really don't want to do that. And so it's giving them a warning. They know what's expected. And normally that's enough. I don't usually have to move children that often. But if they continue, then I will move them. I will just say, I need you to move to a different mat now. And that's fine. You've given them lots of different opportunities. You've given lots of different strategies up to that point, and it is totally okay to move children if they are disrupting your lesson and the other children are not learning as a consequence. So finally, after I've had a discussion like that, or maybe even moved a child, it's really important to me to repair that relationship, because children are likely to feel really embarrassed about the conversation that we've had, or maybe a little bit like picked on. Even though you're not picking on them, they may feel that way. So I ensure that if I've had to speak to a child about something negative, then I will always afterwards give them something positive. I'll always look to see, okay, they're doing what I've asked them to do. Oh, well done, so-and-so, that's brilliant. Or I really like the way that you're doing such and such, praising them, repairing that relationship after the rupture. And so there may be many reasons why a child might be chatty in your classes. It could just be their nature. They could just like chatting. They may be a neurodivergent child, which might mean that they're not necessarily picking up on the social cues of when to stop talking. Or the child may need more validation than most due to something in their life that we don't know about. And so this is why it's really important for us to be compassionate and kind, because we don't know what's going on with the children in the classes we teach. And we want children to have a good experience in our classes and enjoy them and gain the most benefit they can from them. So if you'd like more support in managing behaviour, you might like to check out the free video that I will post down below that's called Boost Behaviour in Your Kids' Yoga Classes. You might also like the freebie poster and guide, which is called Get Real with Rules, which is where I share my own 3 rules and how I use them. Or you may find that the training Tame the Crowd Without Being Loud really useful. It's a great resource for helping you to improve the behaviour management in all of your classes in a kind, compassionate but effective way. The price of this will be going up soon because I'll be making some changes to the e-course, and I'm making some updates there. So if you're thinking that this might be useful now or in the future, then I highly recommend getting it now before it goes up in price. And if you're struggling with any aspect of teaching kids yoga, perhaps a meeting with me might help you. I'm going to put a little link in below, and you can book in with me a one-off session, or you can buy a mentor package with me. I really love working with other kids yoga teachers, helping them to find simple solutions to any difficulties that they may be having. Or if you don't have the finances at the moment to work with me and you'd like me to answer your question, then do just either comment on this video or email me, julia@juliahankins.co.uk, and I can do a little video on your question. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and click the bell for notifications of future videos. Thank you.